And what's the first thing, one of the first things that family law attorneys do when they get a new client? I need to see all your assets. We want to see what you're worth. And they calculate how much of that stuff they can get before the divorce is over.
So let's just say someone's worth $100,000, how would that?
They will take the case, bleed that money down, and when the money is out, they'll say, okay, we got a settlement now.
Oh, and
between the two.
Oh, so they're trying to get the people's net worth to zero, basically. Take all the money they can and then make a settlement. And since it's usually the guy's money, because
Right?
more often than not, oh, that's why they're lying.
This is all a scam.
Oh,
All of it.
that makes I could not figure out why he was lying. 'Cause I don't know how to describe it. It's just like a feeling, I guess. But I'm like, they're hiding something. The way they're answering and responding to these facts is not honest. And I notice it from the tradcons a lot but their ego investments, their religion. So like if these, that's why they do it, I think, anyways. They love their religion, but because they look bad if people knew what they did behind closed doors.
Absolutely. That's my belief. And this is, I couldn't prove this in a study, but I can tell you over and over again, the men I've counseled, they suddenly came to some kind of arrangement precisely when the money was running out.
Wow.
And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that family law attorneys are like ambulance chasers.
What are ambulance? Sorry, I don't get that. Sorry.
Personal injury attorneys that, hang out in hospital ERs and find clients who have been in automobile wrecks, and here I can make you some money. And those guys.
It's kind of a scummy profession, family court, because
family courts are scummy. They're horrible places.
Yeah, but I'm even thinking family law, because unless you're like maybe a men's rights attorney, that sort of thing, it's like odds are you have to screw over men to get paid.
And you don't want a men's rights attorney or anybody identifying that. Here's the problem. The courts hate that. When attorneys come in and act like their male clients actually have rights and there's a constitution and they should be treated this way, courts don't want any of that. They want compliance. I can't tell you how many guys were asking their attorneys, why aren't you saying this? Why aren't you doing that?
Oh my gosh, I've heard that in the UK too, where they said their attorneys don't even tell them the right thing to do.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
It's like, why aren't we fighting this way or that way? Oh, don't worry about it. This is the way it's done, that sort of thing. And of course, it bleeds the family dry of money. And then once that's done, it's like, okay, we're done now.
Oh, that makes I could not figure out why. And the judges have to be in on it too. So do you think it's just gynocentrism that makes them do this, or the love of money?
I think gynocentrism helps, but I mean, they're attorneys. It's the money.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Because sometimes I wonder if, I don't know, because there was a switch that clicked for me when I was interviewing men and women would always say they were abused, right? And someone in my comments section said, ask if they filed a police report. And I couldn't believe none of them did.
Of course they did.
Yeah, and that was when I was like, oh, these bitches are lying. None of them are telling the truth. Because then I would, it's like you ask one question, because your natural reaction when someone says they're abused, I think it's like an empathetic, for me anyway, was why would you lie about that? I would just believe them. But then I would ask like 2 or 3 questions. Like one chick said that she was thrown down a flight of stairs by her ex-boyfriend, right? That sounds pretty bad,
That's
right?
pretty rough.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, what led up? And someone in my comment section was like, ask her what led up to the fight. And so she's like, oh, I wouldn't leave his house. So what I think happened based on the way she answered was she wouldn't leave his house. She was making a scene with his kid there, and he was pushing her to get out, and she fell down the flight of stairs because she wouldn't leave.
Yep.
And
not surprising at all.
Yeah, and so I talked to other guys, and they're like, "Oh, my ex-girlfriend refused to like." They've all have a very similar. maybe there wasn't a police involved, but you could ask guys and they'll say, oh yeah, women do that all the time. They refuse to leave. They'll make a scene.
Another part of that scenario is guys that are in relationships with women that are psychologically and emotionally very abusive, which like borderline personalities are. They can be horrendously abusive people. A guy will take that abuse for years, and then one day he can't take it anymore and he slaps her. That's all the world will ever see is the moment he slapped her. They won't pay any attention to anything that led up to it. Nothing else matters. He hit a woman. Time to go to jail and take all your stuff. And the guy says, yeah, I did it. And nobody cares that he'd been provoked for years and abused for years.
Or they'll hit first.
Yep.
And then one day they get slapped back.
Yep. And the police will arrest the guy in that every time.
Yeah. Well, so I guess my question is in family court, do you think they know that the women are lying? Or
they don't care.
Oh, they don't care.
They know the whole thing is corrupt. Steve Baskerville wrote about this very well. They know precisely what they're doing in there. They know exactly what's going on. They know the family's being fleeced for all the money. They know the children are being destroyed. They know that
they just don't care.
They don't care.
Because they're making money.
This is their routine. This is what they do. And family courts that I know of don't have cameras in them. There's no real appeals process for family courts. You just, whatever the judge rules, that's it. So they have impunity and they can do anything they want, and they do.
Right.
The only thing that's going to save family courts in this country is bulldozers. Mow them down and rebuild. It's the only thing that will ever save them. It's just too corrupt.
Do you think that's possible?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't either.
No, I wish it was.
I wish they could record it and make it public. I think that would help. Because I think when you put the light on something unjust, then people start to speak out. And that's why sometimes these trad cons, I'll do debates with them and I'm just like, why don't you come with me and go tell the men that served their country and got divorced, raped, got their children taken, that they're not a real man. Go tell them. Go ahead. That it's their fault their marriage ended.
Well, it won't be anything they haven't heard 1,000 times already.
Yeah.
The world is so gynocentric. One of the biggest problems that I have with guys going through divorce is that their own families turn on them.
Oh my gosh. I interviewed one guy, his whole family.
Yep.
His whole family believed he was an abuser for they came around 5 years later, but she got his whole
family. A little bit late for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it happen 1,000 times. Guys, their own fathers, their own mothers turn on them and side with the abusive woman. It's amazing. That is when you take fundamental biological gynocentrism, which arguably is a necessity, and you turn it into that, you've got a crazy world. And I don't see what there is to stop it at this point other than eventually the society will collapse, and that'll be the start of something new and maybe a little bit better. But until then, I don't see anything changing. It's too profitable and it's too easy for people. If people can turn on their own children because a woman said he hit me or he was mean to me, man, we're a long way from being able to fix anything.
And they never ask, even the Michael Knowles interview, he didn't ask her any freaking. I'm like, guys, you don't ask any questions.
I think Michael is challenged. I'm sorry.
You think he's mentally challenged?
Well,
he's a smart guy, but.
Well, simps are some of the smartest people you'll meet, some of the dumbest people. It's not about intelligence or culture or race or ethnicity or religion or anything. Simping, it runs through the veins of Western men. Period. And then you get people like Knowles will be like, yeah, marry a hoe. It's okay. And I don't think he would let, I wonder if Michael would let a saved pedophile watch his children.
Never.
If you're using his logic.
Yeah, but he thought it was wise to bring a woman that used to get men to cheat her on married men.
Yes.
Like, she's gonna end up fucking one of the. Sorry by the language, but I'm a swearer. I don't know, but like, she's gonna end up having sex with one of the married guys, and they're gonna be like, "What happened? How did this?"